This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Chapter 3 of our series, Leadership and Influence, Your Path to Social Leadership. In this episode, titled Enhancing Team Dynamics, we'll explore why understanding team dynamics is crucial for effective leadership and how it can transform the way you work with others. So, let's dive in. Most teams don't fail because of bad strategy. They fail because the smartest people in the room stop talking. You're in a meeting. The quietest voice has the crucial insight and swallows it. Later, the project derails. The paradox: everyone cared, and yet no one really felt safe to speak. Here's the twist. Your team's performance is being shaped less by who is in the room and more by how you all talk to each other, minute by minute. Not the grand strategy offsite, but the tiny, forgettable moments. Who gets interrupted? Who gets follow-up questions? Who gets silence? Think of these moments like tiny votes that quietly decide whose ideas matter. Research shows that these micro-interactions can swing nearly half of your team's performance, yet most people on the team don't have formal authority to change anything. Or so it seems. In reality, the way you ask a question, respond to uncertainty, or summarize a messy discussion can start to rewire the group. In this episode, we'll explore how to use your everyday conversations to shift your team from guarded coordination to genuine collaboration, without waiting for a new org chart. Most teams treat these patterns like weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy, but always outside their control. Yet you're influencing the climate every time you speak, especially in small, unnoticed moments. Think of your calendar this week: recurring stand-ups, status updates, one-ones, side chats, and DMs. Each is less like a big strategy summit and more like a series of tiny code commits, gradually rewriting how your team relates. In this episode, we'll zoom into those specific touch points and experiment with small shifts you can make, even if your title doesn't say leader. Think of 3 dials you can actually touch on a team: goal clarity, role clarity, and feedback flow. You rarely control budgets or headcount, but you influence these dials every time you join a meeting or write a message. First dial, goal clarity. Many teams have OKRs or project plans, yet people quietly disagree on what good looks like this week. That's when work scatters. Someone optimizes for speed, another for quality, another for stakeholder appeasement. You can't rewrite the strategy, but you can surface hidden assumptions. When a discussion drifts, ask, just to align, what outcome are we actually trying to maximize in this sprint? Or, if this goes perfectly, what will be different for the customer? You're not challenging authority, you're tightening the team's lens. Second dial, role clarity. High-performing teams aren't rigid, they're clear and adaptable. The trap is fuzzy ownership. 2 people assume the other is on it, or nobody feels permission to step in. In moments of ambiguity, you can narrate and nudge. It sounds like Priya is owning the client comms. Whose point on risk tracking? Or propose a temporary split. For this experiment, I'll draft options. Can you be decision maker on which we ship? You're helping the group see the work as a shared map, not a pile of tasks. Third dial, feedback flow. Most teams over-index on top-down updates and under-index on sideways feedback, peer-to-peer, moment-to-moment. Yet those sideways signals often determine whether ideas evolve or die. You can normalize quick, low-drama feedback by making it specific and small. One thing that worked in your walkthrough was X. One tweak for next time could be Y. Or by asking for it publicly. I'm experimenting with shorter summaries. What's one thing I should change? When someone takes a risk, you can reinforce the behavior, not just the result. Thanks for flagging that early. That helped us adjust. Across these dials, notice that you're not announcing, I'm leading now. You're doing something subtler, making the invisible visible. The goal behind the task, the owner behind the action item, the learning inside the mistake. In a noisy environment, that kind of quiet clarity is a powerful form of influence. Picture a project like a complex software deployment. The code, strategy, might be solid, But the release still fails if versioning, ownership, and error logging are sloppy. You can quietly improve that release pipeline in meetings. For roles, notice the handoffs that always stall. Example, two teams keep re-asking the same question about a customer segment. You might say, "I'll own consolidating all inputs. Can someone be final approver by Thursday?" Now there's a visible path instead of a loop. For feedback, treat discussions like a feature flag. Instead of arguing endlessly, propose, "Let's ship option A to a small group this week, gather reactions, and decide Friday." That lowers the emotional stakes. People are more willing to test ideas than defend them. You can also redirect unhelpful patterns without drama. If the same person dominates, jump in with, "I'd love to hear from someone who disagrees or isn't sure yet." You're not policing behavior, you're expanding the conversation so wiser decisions can emerge. 17% more revenue and 50% higher productivity aren't coming from smarter strategies. They're emerging from how teams treat each other while doing the work. As AI eats repeatable tasks, your advantage becomes how fast your group can learn together, course correct, and stay honest when it's messy. Think of it like upgrading your team's operating system. Better defaults for who speaks, who decides, and how disagreement is handled under pressure, not just in workshops. Influence here is less about big speeches and more like seasoning a dish. Tiny pinches, added often, change the whole flavor. As you adjust how you listen, invite quieter views, and clarify who does what by when, you're quietly teaching the team new habits. Over time, those habits become the culture people feel but rarely can name. Start with this tiny habit. When you open your team chat or email in the morning, send one teammate a 1 to 2 sentence note that names a specific thing they did recently that helped the team. For example, "Your summary in yesterday's stand-up made it so much easier to prioritize my tasks." Then, when a meeting ends, ask one quick, open question before you leave the call, like, "What's one thing we could tweak next time to make this meeting smoother?" Finally, when you notice tension or confusion in a discussion, take a single breath and say just one clarifying sentence out loud. "What I'm hearing is X. Did I get that right?" This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!